Welcome to episode 256 of Friars on the Farm. I'm Donovan, and with me is Roy.
256. That's a power of two. And that's what we are, a power of two. So this week for everybody, we've got for the Major League Minute, we've got a pair of Clutch Kings. We've got a scorekeeping oddity and a few transactions. MILB news, we've got a Bat Dog Bonanza, and again, some minor league transactions. And we've got the affiliate rundown.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's start, dude. I think even Major League Baseball has really run out of things to say about the way Jackson Merrill and Profar have been playing this season, but particularly Jackson Merrill. I mean, like, he has been absolutely insane, and it has been fun to watch. And I tell you, we wouldn't be anywhere. The Padres wouldn't be anywhere where they are without those two right there. You take those two out of the situation. Say we don't sign Profar, and we're someone else is in left field. There's a lot of games we're losing there. Merrill, starts in Double-A and maybe struggles in the beginning and doesn't get called up. And we have someone else playing center field. Maybe we're forced to play a Terso Ornelas in left or something like that. Or it's just insane how two players have created so much excitement in the city and have been the cause of so many wins.
Right. And the latest edition of that was yesterday when the Padres were down 2-0 and kind of seemed lackluster. And it was, are they going to be able to pull this out? And then 8th inning, Profar hits 2-run home run, tie it up. And then right after that, 9th inning, against one of the best closers in baseball, Edwin Diaz, Jackson Merrill, the assassin, comes in there and just called game on everybody. And what an exciting finish. It was a long series, 4 games. They won one, then they lost 2, and you're hoping that they could bounce back in that last one and walk away with the tie against the Mets, which they're pushing for a playoff spot. They've been coming on strong lately. And they're scratching and clawing to make their way in. And so that's a team the Padres may face again in the playoffs. It's good to see them close it out at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be quite real honest. Like, we struggled to watch that game. Like, it was just pop up, ground out, strike out, nothing going on. It was just heading towards the end of the game of losing that game. And so finally, I think it was in the 6th inning, 7th inning is where, like, we can't, when they lose, we start fighting. Liddy, my wife, and I, we start fighting. And because one of us wants to watch the game, the other one doesn't want to watch the game, and even if we're both are either in or out, like, we're both like, watch whatever you want, just watch. Don't then it's just like, it's bad. Like, on the very opposite, like, when the team is winning, there's a lot more unity in the home. There's a lot more happiness. There's a lot more whoopee, for lack of a better term, older term used on an older listener. And we stopped watching, but I watched on my phone as we watched something else. And I'm like, they tied it up, and Lid's like, yeah, we're not going to watch it. I'm like, okay. So we keep watching our game, or watching whatever show we were watching, and then I just went, Merrill Madness. She's like, no. I'm like, yep. She's like, okay, let's go. Then my brother texted me Profar. I'm like, we stopped watching the game. He's like, oh, it's just, call us a bad fan, call whatever you want. When they lose like that, it's just, it's in our household, we move on. We move on to the next game. We move on to whatever else we're doing. I can't watch every game to the very end simply, to watch them lose. Because it just doesn't, it's no fun. And so many times this year, that has been the case, is we have not watched the game, and I kind of watch it on my phone, or I'll watch it on Twitter, reaction to Twitter, and like, okay, look, they're coming back. They tied it up, and then sometimes we'll turn it on, sometimes we won't. But yeah, it's just amazing. It's incredible. It's just incredible. And I believe he did break Mel Ott's record, right? Or was it Frank Robinson? I think has 6.
I think the record that Sarah Lang was talking about with Mel Ott was a National League record, and then Frank Robinson has the most for a player under 21 since 1900, or pretty much since they started tracking those kinds of stats.
Right.
So yeah, Sarah Lang's baseball is the best. But it sounds like you and Liddy need to somehow figure out how to flip your routine where you don't watch the first half of the game. You watch something else because that's how it's been like a basketball game. Like the first 3 quarters
Right.
of a basketball game, it doesn't even matter. And then you turn it on in the fourth quarter to see what's really, and that's how this Padres team is. Like, wait till the sixth inning, flip it on, and if they're down by like 3 or 4, they got a shot. If
Yeah.
they're down by 5 or 6, they might still have a
Yeah.
shot. But yesterday they were down by 2. Like, buckle in and see what's going to happen because fireworks are around the corner.
Yeah.
So yeah, Clutch Kings, Jerks and Profar, Jackson Merrill. Fangraphs has some different stats that they use to try to evaluate what clutch is, and I usually dismiss all of those stats. Like they don't matter. All it says is the good hitters are good hitters. But if you look at every single one of those win probability added and the leverage index and what they call clutch, which is like a combined
Yeah.
Jerks and Profar is right at the top of all of them.
Yeah.
And then if you go second half, Jackson Merrill starts floating up into the top of that too. Those two guys, they've just come through when this team needs the
Yeah.
big hit, and especially the home run, the double to drive guys in. They've been right in the middle of it every single time. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's funny, and I didn't see the. I love when Sarah Lane she'll tweet the win probability, and it goes wee.
Oh, I didn't see that for that game.
I
I
don't
bet
think
she
she did it
I
with the
never
game.
saw it.
I don't think she did it with this game. I don't think it called for that. But I love seeing that. Like whoever's winning, all of a sudden, wee.
So something else that I'm a bit of a nerd about is
Yeah.
scorekeeping, and I haven't kept score at a proper game for a long time, but I still love the nuances and all the complexity that people put into it. And Danny Jansen did something today that broke score books all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm sure even the databases are going to have to be like edited to figure out how to handle this. So the Red Sox and the Jays were playing a game back in April, and the game got suspended. I think it was the first inning. Way too early to call the game, and so the game got suspended. They were going to have to pick it up at a later time. The batter when the game got suspended was Danny Jansen, catcher for the Blue Jays. Fast forward a month, he gets traded to the Red Sox. Fast forward a few more months, the Jays are in Boston to finish that game that Danny Jansen was at the plate when
Right.
that game
He
got
was at the
suspended.
dish.
And the catcher that the Red Sox had at the time has been designated for assignment and outrighted to AAA. So who started that game up behind the plate? Danny Jansen, first player in Major League history to play for 2 teams in the same game. And furthermore, he was the batter to start the plate appearance
Yeah.
and then the catcher to finish the plate appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, just nerds like me have just been rejoicing about. We've been looking forward, anticipating this
Yeah.
moment, and then it actually happened. It's amazing.
And I think I saw some tweets on there where like Alex Cora like, yeah, I'm going to make that. Like the tweet said he's going to do it, like which means he's
Yeah.
going to have him behind the dish, during that game to kind of finalize that kind of weird play. Now it happens in baseball where during the trade deadline, player A goes from this dugout to the other dugout, and they just kind of swap sides. But they don't necessarily get into the game. There's a lot more that goes into, getting traded to one team and getting your equipment on the other. I mean, I don't even think they can make shirts in the other. I'm sure they can make shirts at the other visiting dugout, but usually it's just a day or two before he'll get into the game. And we've seen that tons of time, but the actual just starting one game at the plate, being the batter, and then, starting it up again, being the catcher. And what do you say as a catcher? Like, I mean, he's not going to say anything, but I would say something like, hey, get a hit, just to like finish my at bat by getting a hit, or don't get a hit because I don't want you to do well. But,
I think there was something about the count that the stat actually didn't count for Danny Jansen. Like
Okay.
if the count had gotten beyond a certain number of pitches or something like that, there was only one pitch in the plate appearance. He had a foul ball.
Okay.
And so whatever the outcome of that at bat was went to the pinch hitter, not to him. But I get your point. But I mean, it's like traveling in time, right?
Yeah.
Like they weren't playing, like they were physically on the field today, but all of those numbers count for whatever it was, June 26th. Now that I looked it up, June 26th was when the game was played. So they kind of traveled back in time for a day.
Yeah.
And I'm back in time. Huey Lewis in the
Lewis
news.
in the news. All right, so let's move on to the MILB news, and let's get this. Let me set this up here. Talk about it here for a second. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. We're going to watch this. Once again, the internet is an amazing thing. And what happened in the Clearwater Threshers, the big thing in minor league baseball is the bat dogs, and they're good boys and they're fun to watch. And it's real cute. The Storm had one earlier this year. I couldn't remember
They're
the
going
name
to
of
have
the
one
dog.
again on Saturday.
Yes.
They're bringing that dog back on Saturday.
And they only do it for so long because I think picking up a heavy bat for a dog like that isn't good for them in general. But the dog goes up there and picks up the bat, and the umpire and guy, that's so cute. The crowd goes, aw. But what happened here in the Clearwater Threshers game? Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen, folks. So for you folks at YouTube are going to be able to watch this. Where
Larry Nelson at MLB Larry is the guy that first shared the video, and it kind of blew up. He said the Clearwater Threshers anointed a new bat dog, Lily, tonight. It didn't exactly go as planned. It's single A for the bat dogs too. So these teams, they always have a primary bat dog, and then they've got another bat dog in training. Sometimes they'll have a couple. And we're about to see what happens when that all goes horribly wrong. So here comes Lily. They let her out on the field, and she's just running amok. She's running across home plate.
Runs right by the bat.
Yeah, she thought about picking up the bat.
Goes to the first base coach's box. They're still trying to point the dog to the bat. Jumps in. I think that's Dunderland Jays. That's the Blue Jays high A single A affiliate, I believe. Runs through their dugout, and the players are kind of like, what the hell's going on? The dog comes out the other end. They throw the bat out for the dog to pick up the bat. He ignores it. He runs onto the field, past the pitcher's mound, over to the shortstop. The player runs out of the way. He's rounding second, and then right when he's round second, it's timeout. It's time to take, relieve yourself. To like, hey, give me a minute.
When nature calls, you got to answer.
And so she leaves one right there and then keeps going, and then stops and stuff, then keeps going, and then starts running again, and is running out the shortstop. Getting pets from the guys combing the field, runs around first base again, runs into the foul area, runs around the plate, across the plate, and then just never got the bat. And then finally, as you see, the the trainer there does the finger wagging like, you can't do that, and the crowd goes crazy. It is absolutely hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So I have a 9-month-old yellow lab at home that looks just like that. And she is an absolute menace. She's a velociraptor. I could see her doing exactly the same thing out there, doing everything except for the one thing you wanted her to do.
Right. And it seemed like she was really young, like you said, very young. I think they do it with the older dogs where they're trained and they probably practice that. I don't know the story behind it, but I just love it because you make a plan, you have to get it done, and it just does that. And it stops the game. And it just stops everything. And the dog, like the cat or a squirrel that gets on the field and starts running around, just does what it wants until it's ready to be done.
Right. Well, that was fun. It's one of those crazy things. It's the unscripted things that are my favorite. Yeah. Wrong. That's when the humor comes out. Okay, so we have some bookkeeping to keep up on. So there've been some transactions that are relevant, both at the major league and the minor league side. So I'll start off with the major league side here. So Matthew Batten was called up for a minute, but then he was designated for assignment to make room for Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish is coming off the 60-day IL, going on to the 15-day IL, which tells me he's about to head out on a rehab assignment. Yeah. We've heard that he's doing live batting practice at Petco, but that's the next step. Go out to an affiliate, make a couple starts, and then join the rotation, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But Matthew Batten, he cleared waivers, and he's back with the Chihuahuas. They outrighted him to El Paso. Tim Haggerty he's a historian at heart. He writes for SABR, the Society of American Baseball Research. He puts out these articles every once in a while, so he's always in touch with this, but especially when the Chihuahuas are concerned. So he tweeted out, Batten has played for the Chihuahuas off and on since 2018. He's the team's all-time leader in games, hits, stolen bases, and other categories. If another team claims him, it'll be the end of an era in El Paso. thankfully that era continues. Friend of the podcast, Matthew Batten, is still with the
Yeah.
Padres, and hopefully he'll get another chance to contribute at some point. I don't think it's the last time we're going to see him in the majors. If he gets picked up by somebody else, he's going to get a chance. The guy
Yeah.
does everything. When
Yeah.
you're somebody that does everything well, no one thing jumps out, but
Right.
play any position on the field. He's a smart hitter. He's a smart base runner. He's got enough power to keep somebody honest. He can steal you a base. He'll find a job, even if it's no longer with the Padres organization. But for now, he's still a Padre.
Absolutely. So for the live BP that you gave at Petco, they brought down some Storm players, and Jeff Sanders took a picture, and I saw BY Choi. I recognized BY Choi. Then I tweeted, I messaged Jeff, and Jeff, I'm like, who else was in that? In the lineup there? So Jack Costello, Brendan Durfee, Oswaldo Linares, and Ryan Jackson all came down and took ABs against Yu Darvish. How cool.
There was some trash talking on the ride back up to Lake Elsinore after that.
And if you saw some of his throws on the mound there, someone was on second base. I don't know if they put him there or if he hit a double, but he threw back to second base in one of the little small clips that I saw. And that's kind of the cool thing. We talked to one of the players. Who did we talk to? We talked to one of the players in an interview, and I think it was Snell that was throwing live BP. And I don't think he did that well against him. I'm pretty sure, but I remember he was like, dude, I got it. It was me. I took an AB against Blake Snell when he was doing a rehab, live batting practice at Petco. I couldn't remember who did that, but that's kind of fun when you get to see the minor league guys come down and get to take a look at a bona fide
thrill.
Yeah.
I saw somebody in the media said that they didn't see a batted ball that they thought was going to be a hit. They didn't have fielders out on the field. So I'm assuming that the runner on second was just to get him back in the rhythm of, okay, check the runner,
right.
The awareness and all that stuff, just the comfort. You're trying to simulate not just the batter being in the box, but the other
game time
aspects. Yep.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's great. We should see you, it's kind of the trade deadline extended with with you on the horizon. And, Fernando Tatis Jr. is in Arizona right now taking live ABs at Instruct. So look for him to, do that and maybe do another assignment to get out. But certainly we have two key players to the Padres coming back soon in Fernando Tatis Jr. and Yu Darvish. So that's epic.
Yeah, and it was just reported today that Ha-Seong Kim is going to go out to St. Louis and join the team there. So I'm not sure what that means for his timeline. If that means he's a day or two, it's a 4-game series there. So at the very least, I figure that means he's probably off the IL before that final game in St. Louis.
All right, some more transactions, and this one's a long time coming, and it was fleeting, and it didn't really, after today I saw Lake Bacher was called up for a day. Lake Bacher has been with the organization since 2016. He's like, I think, the longest tenured player in the organization. And has, he's done pretty well in El Paso, which is really tough to do well in El Paso. He had like a no run streak of like 16 or 17 innings, I think we said here on the pod. He was up for a day. Probably got a hotel room, had a roommate, and then was optioned before he can even make an appearance.
Yeah, Randy Vasquez came up to take Matt Waldron's rotation spot and to take Bacher's roster spot, and that's to make the start today. So again, Tim Haggerty, he said when Bacher finished high school, he thought he was done with baseball. He went to University of Wisconsin-Whitewater to be their football team's kicker and punter. He decided to return to baseball a few years into college. Now he's a major leaguer at 29. Amazing. Yeah. Like you never know where the road is going to wind up taking you. So I hope that that's not his only. I mean, that's not even a sip of coffee.
Right.
That's not even a drip. It's like you get to smell that coffee being brewed, and that's about it. So I hope he gets a chance to come up. Maybe he's going to be one of the September roster additions. It opens up to 28. So who knows? Maybe they could use a little more bullpen depth.
Absolutely.
And then breaking news right before we were going to come on here, I got a tweet. My friend Artie Curry sent me a tweet. He said according to Daniel Alvarez Montez, tweeted out the San Diego Padres are signing catcher Elias Diaz to a minor league contract. Sources tell El Extra Base, which is a Latin language baseball production
Yeah.
publication. So catcher Elias Diaz was let go by the Rockies just a year ago. He was the All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a bad season. He's had a pretty good season. Plays good defense. He can hit like crazy. He's a little older. He's well into his 30s. But kind of makes me wonder. I haven't seen Campusano. They've been riding Higashioka awfully hard. Seems like Campusano's been pushed back into that once or twice a week kind of a rhythm where to start the season, we thought he was going to be the number one guy, getting 60,
Yeah.
70% of the starts behind the plate. So now that's Higashioka's job, but I'm wondering if they might think about optioning Campusano and bringing Diaz up as that backup second catcher spot.
It'd be tough to see that happen. But he needs regular at bats. Like anyone that's, that was going to be the catcher of the future. And I still believe he is the catcher of the future. Cal Higashioka is just having an absolutely monster season that no one saw coming. And we're a much better team for it. And you just hate to see, you get those spot starts, you can't get going. And the kind of player I think that Luis Campusano is, he needs every day at bats. He needs regular playing time to kind of get in the rhythm, get the feel, get the confidence back. And it's just not happening. So I could, that would be the reason why I would send him down. Like, hey, you're not going to get a lot of at bats here. We still think a lot of you, but get your regular at bats there in El Paso. Hit tanks all day in the PCL, but get your regular work in. And we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's been tough this year with Campy. It's kind of like you're victim of another success, I think, is what you'd want to call that.
Yeah. But I mean, one of the fun things that's come out this year is the Higgy Bank. I love that it's become a term. And there's somebody on Twitter that has like a picture of the Western Metal Supply building, and there's a bunch of faces of wherever Higashioka's hit one up on the Western Metal Supply building, because he's straight up pull side, and he's talked about that. Like, my whole approach is to pull it and hit the ball in the air, which is the opposite of what a lot of these guys are trying to do. But for him, it's working. And it was funny because early in the season, he kept killing these foul balls, hitting these foul ball home runs. And what did he do to adjust? He simply squared himself up. He just closed his feet.
Closed up a little bit.
It's the simplest thing. It's stuff that they teach you in T-ball. And these big league hitters, you think they're thinking about bat angle, and they're thinking about, where's my back shoulder? No, just close your feet a little bit and you'll start hitting fair balls more. And now the piggy bank is filling up with dimes.
With tanks. That's great. So let's moving on. We have a full affiliate rundown to get to as well. Finally, some great news coming out of minor league base, out of the system. Joshua Mears has been transferred to San Antonio from High A Fort Wayne. In 16 games, we talked about this last episode. In 16 games, he's hitting 313, 324, 537. He's ninth in the Midwest League with 861 OPS, 16th in the Midwest League, ninth in the Midwest League in average. Thank you. 861 in OPS, which is 16th in the Midwest League. He had a season-long 9-game on-base streak that ended this last Saturday. Really glad to see him up there. We have a home run of his first AA home run coming up later in the affiliate rundown. But I think really what that is about is kind of strike while the iron is hot.
What a crazy turnaround he's had. So you said in 16 games in August, 313, 324, 537. 40 games before that, the whole rest of the season, his batting average was 165 and his on base was 247. And so it's like when he runs into one, oh my God. But the rest of the time, it was just so cringeworthy because it was just crazy strikeout rate. But now it seems like he's focused a little bit more on contact. Maybe he's learned how to dial it back a little bit. And so he's got so much power in reserve that he could swing at 50% and still be launching nuke. So whatever changed, let's just hope that it sticks and that it continues into AA. We've been waiting a long time to hear for him making this kind of a change. So
Absolutely.
his home run on August 4th to center field traveled 390 feet with an exit velocity of 118.2 miles an hour. For context, this year in Major League Baseball, only three players have harder hits: Shohei Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton, and O'Neal Cruz. So that is rarefied air from a
Yeah.
raw power standpoint. And now that he's starting to show a little bit more contact ability, I mean, again, maybe it's time to turn on the hype machine again.
Yeah. Well, let's hold off on the hype machine. Double A is a whole other ball game. Let's definitely give him some time to, to get familiar with Double A and see where it goes from there. But let's root for that kid and see what happens. And let's hope you're going to see a home run later on in the affiliate rundown. But let's hope he picks it up. Yeah.
All right. So one more note here. Left-handed pitcher Jackson Wolf was transferred from San
AAA.
Antonio from AAA. Yeah, I think it's just that time of year where you're seeing some shuffle and they need somebody, we need a live arm in AA. We got, enough pitchers in AAA. Maybe they're trying to get him somewhere where he can trust
Bill-
letting the ball to go up in the
Yeah.
air, where in El Paso, everything that goes up goes out. So I don't know if it's necessarily a development reason. I think it's probably more just a roster space reason.
Yeah.
So he's been cleared off the 40-man roster. They designated him for assignment. He cleared waivers. But I'm still holding out hope that Jackson Wolf somehow makes it back to Petco at some point. Makes it back to, but he needs to make his Petco Park debut.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about, and this happens with every organization. Guys come up, it is an incredibly hard game. It is. And if you don't throw 100 miles an hour, you better be spot on. And he does not throw 100 miles an hour, and he relies on deception and movement. But just to have the little bit of time that he had in the majors is a huge achievement for anyone in their careers. But yeah, let's get him down to Double A. Let's move maybe some guys up from Double A to Triple A coming in maybe last month or so. We'll see how that goes. But let's move on.
Well, moving on, we're going to take a minute here, and then we'll be right back with our affiliate rundown.
12 runs across the 6 games. Here's Joshua Mears, and he goes after the first offering and hammers it deep to left center field. Zavala back, looking, and it is gone. Joshua Mears has his first homer at the AA level this year. Fastball left middle of the zone from Rodriguez, and it's now a 10-2 ball game.
All right, hey, before we get to the affiliate rundown, let's give a shout out to Mad Friars, MILB TV, and the broadcast partners of the Lake Elsinore Storm, Fort Wayne Tin Caps, the San Antonio Missions, and the El Paso Chihuahuas. We appreciate all the content that we get from all those guys that make us give you guys such great content by using their content. So you get a chance, subscribe to Mad Friars. It's $40 a year, and you get all the interviews, all the good, all the great interviews. The daily, the daily rundowns you get, those are for free, but all the exclusive content you get. And it's a fantastic way to support your local blog. And those guys that get out to the affiliates and bring us some great content.
All right. So speaking of getting out to the affiliates, I'm going to start it off with Lake Elsinore.
Yeah.
Painting the corners on Friday, Wandy Peralta, Padres reliever, started his path toward returning to the Padres in time for September. The rehabbing big leaguer pitched a scoreless first inning, notching a strikeout. Peralta will likely make a few more outings after he was shut down in early July with a left adductor strain. And then Ian Koenig took over for Peralta, retiring all 10 hitters he faced, 3 by strikeout. Over his last 3 games, spanning 14 1/3 innings, the 23-year-old has allowed 3 runs on just 6 hits, walking 3, striking out 15 batters. Then the day before that, on Thursday, Michael Morales turned in 5 innings of 3-hit ball, allowing no runs while striking out 5. The 19-year-old righty hadn't gone more than 3 innings in his first 23 appearances for the Complex League Club and Lake Elsinore, but has worked 5 in back-to-back starts after moving into the rotation. I like to see the flexibility, the versatility, but late in the season, stretching out, that's a great sign.
And I love this kid. I watched a couple of innings of that game, and he throws hard, and he's fun to watch. He's someone to watch next season, going into into 25. And it's time to maybe start seeing guys get to the Arizona Fall League soon. So he might be one of those dark horses that make it to the Fall League coming out of the ACL so late in the season.
Yeah, we got to start hearing about rosters and schedules and all that stuff. That's got to be coming around the corner.
I think pretty soon, absolutely. But let me get to on the screws. Tuesday's designated hitter Sean Barnett doubled in his first professional at bat, but went hitless in his next 4 at bats. Barnett, 21, was drafted out of Wingate University in the 11th round this year. The Padres plan to develop him as a two-way player, though he won't see any in-game action on the mound until next year. That's going to be someone to watch as well. B.Y. Choi started at third and connected on 2 hits, including his first Cal League homer. I tweeted that out earlier this week. I was rushed. Then Wednesday, Braden Carpathios remains Lake Westerno's hottest hitter. Despite solid across-the-board tools, though, mid-June he was hitting a paltry 202, 344, 296. He turned it up a bit heading into the All-Star break, but has reached base 28 out of 30 games since returning from a quick trip home at the break. He's hitting 400, 493, 683 this month while striking out fewer than 20% of his plate appearances. The strikeouts below 20 are huge.
So a quick trip home. Maybe he just needed some home cooking to get the bat to heat up.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 11th round, Sean Barnett connected on a game-tying 2-run homer in the 8th inning Wednesday. The right-handed outfielder led all Division II collegiate hitters with 26 homers this season as a junior. Here's that clip from MILB TV.
From the belt, runner goes 3-2, swung on and hit well, deep left field. Munoz turns and watches it go. Incredible. Game-tying 2-out, 2-run home run. The first of his professional career as Sean Barnett comes up clutch, game tied at 5. Wow. Sean Barnett getting in line with the rest of these 24 Padre draft picks and contributing.
So Sean Barnett was an outfielder throughout his college career, but he did a little bit of pitching, didn't pitch much with Wingate, but they must see something in the arm. I wonder how they're going to manage that. It makes me think back to when Jake Cronenworth was at Michigan. He would play first base or second base, and then they'd bring him in as the closer in the 9th inning. I wonder if that's the kind of thing that they, I haven't seen a two-way player in a college in a minor league team. I can't think of the last time I've seen somebody try to do it, whether they'll have him just days that he pitches, days that he hits, or if they'll try to do a true two-way kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's real interesting. And it's interesting that, there's been several players that have been drafted, and I watch a lot of minor league baseball where they talk to those guys and it's like, yeah, they drafted me as a two-way player, but once you get to professional, like you either got to focus on one or the other. You have to be incredibly talented to do that. So it might be a test balloon to see how they can kind of build that program up with him. But dude, he hit that tank and it was an absolute bomb. And it'll be interesting to see how that happens and where they do use him. But let's move on to Thursday. Lamar King Jr. slugged a double and drove in a run. The 20-year-old owns an 832 OPS and 55 at-bats since beginning his first run of full season ball. New arrival Brandon Butterworth. All these kids that have come up through the draft today are just crushing the ball every day. Last night, like 8 hits in last night's game. It was just amazing. He continues to hit, delivering another double. The 21-year-old infielder is batting 283 in his first 53 at-bats of professional baseball. Kai Roberts impressed in the leadoff spot, going 2 for 4, including a second triple since the Padres selected him out of the University of Utah in the 7th round last month. The lanky left-handed hitter is batting 304 in his first 56 at-bats in the Padres organization.
So next week is the last homestand for the Storm before the playoffs. And so get up there if you want to see these guys. I need to get up there because I'm ashamed to say it. I haven't been up there all season.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to find time in the busy schedule to make my way up there.
Well, you're going to have to make it up Saturday because I'm going up Saturday and probably going to talk to the manager.
Yeah, Saturday's not happening. We've got my wife and I, we've got a date night planned. We're going to go see Earth, Wind, and Fire in Chicago that night.
Where are they playing?
They're playing the big amphitheater down in Chula Vista.
Oh, really? That's a pretty big venue for those guys.
Well, I'm for Chicago. Yeah, I have a feeling Earth, Wind, and Fire can fill the place up.
Yeah, I've seen Earth, Wind, and Fire a long time ago back. We saw them in Vegas with an old ex-girlfriend of mine, and it was great. It was just fantastic. I'm
Oh,
stoked.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, so Fort Wayne painting the corners. On Thursday, Eric Yost worked 5 innings with just 1 run allowed as he struck out 3 with no walks. Jose Reyes pitched the next 3 innings with 3 punchouts as well. Wednesday, Isaiah Lowe pitched 6 scoreless innings, only allowed 2 hits and struck out 6 in his 4th start for the Tin Caps. While the righty has an above-average mid-90s fastball, he generated more swings and misses on his changeup, pitch that is often a show-me offering to go with his fastball slider combo. The 21-year-old has racked up 103 strikeouts in 91 and a third innings this year. It seems like a focus with this organization for these guys to figure out changeup, something that works arm side, something that's the change of pace. And so maybe this is a sign that he's adding that as more than a show me pitch, that it's seriously going to be a weapon that moves to the front of his arsenal. Then on Thursday, Emmanuel Pinales was charged with a pair of unearned runs among the 3 he surrendered in 5 innings of work, but he struck out 7 and only allowed 1 walk. The 23-year-old Dominican righty has enjoyed a solid season in the Fort, posting 3.73 ERA with 95 strikeouts in 99 innings. And then finally on Saturday, Braden Nett struck out a career-high 10 batters. Nett allowed only 1 run over 6 quality innings. He scattered 4 hits and didn't walk or hit a batter. Braden Nett has been coming on strong the last month.
Yeah.
Left-hander Fernando Sanchez followed Nett with 2 1/3 innings of relief. Then they were in Peoria. The Chiefs chipped into their deficit with a run in the 9th, but Manuel Castro came in to record his 10th save of the season, 4th most among pitchers in the league.
So it's been really interesting to go back to the Jose Reyes. It's really interesting how I think they're limiting his innings by having him come in as a have Eric Yost or someone start, and then he comes in and pitches like 2 or 3 innings. That's the way you can limit a player's innings, obviously, because it's getting to the end of the season. A lot of these guys have blown way past their innings limits. So it's a good way to keep them on the field, but yet kind of limit their innings, and he's been doing really well. The guy throws gas. I watched some of that Isaiah Lowe start, and he throws hard, but then these kids in high A, they're gearing up for it, and then he throws that changeup, and it's just you can't. They swing right over it. We're going to be talking to Dylan Sin here pretty soon, and that's going to be in the next episode. But we're going to talk all Fort Wayne with Dylan Sin here coming up in the next episode. Boom. So let's go on the screws. Tuesday, Ethan Salas singled in his first inning to extend his on-base streak to 13 games. Wednesday, Kai Murphy put on a clinic from the leadoff spot. He scored both Tin Caps run, reached base 3 times, and hit his 6th home run of the year. After a slow start, the Oregon State and Arizona State product has a 753 OPS since July 1. Thursday, again, Ethan Salas collected his 9th double of the month as a part of a 2-for-5 night, is now batting 207 on the year. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but he's finally starting to hit, and it's so late in the season where 207 is like, 285, 300 right now from where he was hitting beginning of the season.
Yeah, the batting average, it's a boat anchor. You're not going to pull that up at this point. You need to kind of break it into stretches and watch for the progression that way.
Absolutely. So the Padres' top prospect has now hit in 7 straight and reached base in 15 consecutive contests. Tyler Robinson also went 2-for-5 and stole a base in his 3rd game since returning from mission 7 weeks because of a hamate injury.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then Saturday.
That's a little bone in the wrist right there on the bottom hand. Something about how that bat knob rolls over.
So then Saturday, Ethan Salas to extend his on-base streak to 17 games, 4th longest in the High A Midwest League.
Yeah, in his last 14 games, he's hitting 244 with a 316 on base and a 419 slug. That goes up to 350 if you look at just the last week. 350 batting average, 381 on base with a 500 slugging percentage.
Dude,
so the bat's finally coming around.
Yeah.
So batting around
here real quick, because Kai Murphy and Ethan Salas are now tied for 3rd. It has here Ethan Salas ranks 4th. They're both tied for 3rd come Sunday for doubles in the Midwest League.
All right, so Kai Murphy ranks 3rd in the Midwest League in doubles with 24. Over the last 20 games since July 26th, he's batting 295, 382, 500. That's an 882 OPS, 10th in the Midwest League across that span, with 5 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, and 9 RBIs. Filling it up. And then Ethan Salas, as you say, he's now tied for third with
24.
doubles. I assume that means 24. So a 14-game on-base hitting streak, 283, 356, 547. That's a 903 OPS, 12th in the Midwest League in that stretch with 8 doubles, the most in the Midwest League, 2 homers and 11 RBIs. The youngest of 11 teenagers to play in the Midwest League this season. He's the only 18-year-old. And that's again, that's something we always talk about how young he is, but it's crucial you keep that in mind that he's playing against guys that are 4 or 5 years older than him, way advanced considering that, I mean, most guys his age would be high school seniors right now.
Yeah. I was smoking behind third hall, at 18 years old.
Yeah, I was looking for all kinds of trouble. I certainly wasn't looking for how I can, get my batting average up another 10% or anything like
Oh
that.
my God. I couldn't imagine being that talented. All right. So moving on to San Antonio for Painting Corner Sunday, Austin Krob had his 4th quality start for the Missions. Southpaw allowed 1 run on 5 hits across 6 innings of work. He walked 1 batter while striking out 5. He owns a 3.2 ERA with a 16-6 strikeout to walk ratio and 19 innings across 4 starts this month. This kid does not throw hard. He locates and has great off-speed stuff. Like he throws 91, tops out at 91, but just the command that he has is the way, and the pitch mix is really how he earns his bread and butter.
It seems like he keeps everything down. He never misses up in the zone, and that's huge.
Right. So Tuesday, pitching out of several jams, Henry Baez earned his 3rd win of the season. The 21-year-old stranded runners in the 2nd and the 4th inning. He finished the night allowing 2 runs on 6 hits. He's holding a 2.22 ERA in 5 starts. His strikeouts are down since being promoted, but he's been able to make a pitch when needed. He has an incredible 96% strand rate.
That's
unsustainable. Out the unattainable or like an unsustainable part of that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that nobody can keep a 96% strand rate. That's some incredible fortune. But you know what? I'll take it.
Absolutely. So Thursday, then Bradley Rodriguez got things back on track with 5 outs of no hit ball. The 20-year-old righty struck out 2 and walked 1. He owns a 2.75 ERA and has struck out 28.9% of the batters he's faced in 52 1/3 innings across 3 levels this year. Another fast mover. All right, then again on Saturday, because we have bookends here, Sunday and then Saturday, Austin Krob recorded his first win since July 4th with 6 2/3 innings of work. The Southpaw scattered 3 hits and 2 unearned runs in his effort with 4 strikeouts and 1 walk and a hit batter.
All right, so I've got on the screws here, but really the screws were being turned on the Missions because they ran into some Cy Young issues and a future ace. Kumar Rocker pitched a gem on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, they went up against Jacob deGrom doing a rehab appearance. And then on Saturday, they went up against Max Scherzer doing a rehab appearance. I mean, my God, I'm sure it's exciting to step into the box against one of those two as a AA hitter, but then another 2 days later, you're facing another guy. It's like, man, yeah, I'm trying to make my money. I'm trying to earn my, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched that Rocker, like he was just that guy. I don't know what he's doing in AA. He is ready to pitch in the major leagues right now. I watched his last 2 starts against the Missions, and he's just lights out. It's not even fair.
There's this thing about team control and contract length and all of that stuff. So he's with the Rangers. They've got a pretty deep pitching rotation right now. They're also a pretty savvy team when it comes to money.
Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me to hear that they're just willing to let him ride out the rest of the season in the minors and then start out next year, first 3 weeks. Oh, hey, middle of April, look who's coming up. It's Kumar Rocker. Right about the time that they get that extra year of team control because he won't get a full year of service time. I don't know if they're going to play that game, but it kind of smells like it right now.
Yeah.
All right, so on Tuesday, Romeo Sanabria continues to torture Texas League pitching. He went 3 for 4 on Tuesday to raise his average to 415 with the Missions. Sanabria is batting 600 with runners in scoring position. He has 13 RBI in 12 games with the Mission. It's an incredible pace. Somebody doing that at the big leagues, that's like a 180, 190 RBI pace. Now, it's a 12 game, small sample size, but I love to overreact to things. Then Marcos Castagnon hit his 11th homer of the season, 2-run shot to round out the friends of the podcast. Then on Wednesday, he was Castagnon again was seeing the ball well on Wednesday night. He went 4 for 5 at the plate with a double and an RBI. This was his third career 4-hit game and his first since July 9th, 2023. And then again, Sanabria went 2 for 3 in last night's game to increase his average to 432 since joining the Missions. You have a 1 for 3 night. That's usually pretty good in the big leagues. But right now, the way Sanabria is going, that's dragging his batting average down. So he's on an 8-game on-base streak and a 7-game hit streak. And then on Saturday, Cole Cummings had a career night. He was a triple shy of the cycle as he drove in a career-high 5 runs. In the third inning, he hit his 10th homer of the season with a 3-run blast. Then he doubled in 2 in the 4th. Have a day, Cole Cummings.
Absolutely. And Romeo Sanabria, man, he's JUCO 10th, 11th round. Like he, almost an afterthought draft. But it just kind of goes to show you the scouting department that AJ Preller has finds these guys. And, you see it right now in all the undrafted free agents and later round guys from this year's draft, tearing it up in high A. Sure, those guys are 22, 23 years old. A couple of them are 21 years old, a little bit higher in the draft. But the what these scouts see in these players, man, it's just phenomenal.
He was signed out of Indian
Florida.
River State College, Florida, in the 18th round.
Yeah.
$50,000 draft signing.
And I talked to him way back in the beginning of the season in Elsinore, and he blew past Fort Wayne, and now he's tearing it up in Double A. And that's the thing about in Double A, usually it takes a guys a few games at least, if not several weeks, to kind of get used to the quality of pitching. And what I've said in the past, last episode, was that swing of his is very much like that left-handed swing of the ball's low, lets it gets deep into the hitting zone. Looks much like Jackson Merrill. Doesn't have the power right now, but talking to John Conniff about him, he had talked to Romeo about his hitting, and like he's focused on making contact. He's not focusing on swinging hard and hitting for power. He wants to make contact. So get the contact down, and once he gets familiar, then he can start maybe putting a little bit more into it, which I found to be incredibly mature for a player. Usually, you're trying to hit the ball as far as you can, as often as you can to show the organization that you're ready to move up to the next level. This guy is trusting the process and just making contact, and you see it. He's hitting 400 in Double A.
Well, you evoked Jackson Merrill's name, and the last couple of years, we kept talking about how he's making hard contact, he's spraying the ball, he uses the other part of the field. Maybe they want him to start pulling the ball more, try to elevate, get to his power. And, but there were people that were thinking maybe one day he'll be a 10 to 15 homer guy.
Yeah.
And now he's sitting on 19, so he's on the verge of a 20 home run season. It's just a matter of time. So I like that approach. So you focus on making good contact, good situational hitting, and then that power is going to come. Because Sanabria, he's a big boy. He's 6'3", but he is solidly built. So that power is going to come. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and we'll be talking to him in the offseason. And the news coming out of his camp is they plan on putting him on a high protein, much better diet, kind of get him more fit. He's a little bit of a, he's a big boy, but he's still got a little bit of that baby fat on him. I think they're going to tighten up his physique a little bit, see if that allows him to get a little more deeper in the season and get a little more athletic.
Yeah, well, getting deep into the season isn't a problem right now because he's been a man on a mission.
All right. Okay, so I'll take El Paso and paint in the corners. Tuesday,
right over batting around.
Yeah.
Right. So it's never easy.
Sorry about that.
Never easy facing 2-time Cy Young winner Jacob deGrom. However, the Missions plated a run against the future Hall of Famer in his first inning of work. Future Hall of Famer. If he hadn't had so many injuries, because he's kind of in the Tim Lincecum neighborhood as far as I'm concerned. Like he was untouchable. And then the injuries have shortened things. So if you're looking at Hall of Fame stats, you have to have that era of greatness, but then there's also has to be that sustained, the sustained career. And I don't know if he's quite going to get there. So I appreciate the respect that Mad Friars are putting on his name. I'm on the borderline. Anyway, Cole Cummings started the game with a double to right field. Connor Hollis drove him in with a single, and then DeGrom allowed 1 run on 2 hits and 2 innings in his rehab start. So, hey, they got to him. They
Yeah.
found the soft spot in the armor, and they got a shot through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now we can go to El Paso.
Right, into the Hall of Very Good, and that's the thing, and into the Hall of the Very Good, and certainly in the Hall of what could have been. Like, you're right, he was absolutely dominant for maybe 3 years, maybe 4. And it just has fallen off the way. And when it comes to pitching, it's all about sustainability and wins. You have to get the wins, the wins, the wins, the wins.
The wins, the wins, the wins.
The win, the win, the wins. All right. So moving on to El Paso and Painting Corners Tuesday. Righty Jared Kollar turned in his worst start of the season and took his second AAA loss. The former undrafted free agent from Rutgers lasted just an inning and a third, allowing 7 runs on 6 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 1. The poor outing came on the heels of a fairly successful run for Kollar. Coming into Tuesday's start, he allowed just 5 runs over 17 and a third innings in his last 3 starts. Kollar has a 5.87 ERA in 4 starts with the Chihuahuas. He's already thrown nearly 20 more innings than he did in his first full season debut last year, and is on track to lead the Padres minor league system this year. Big thing, and it's the PCL. You're going to have those outings. Everyone's going to have those. Gave up 5, 6, 7 runs. It just happens. But Tom Cosgrove continues his excellent run, pitching a scoreless inning while notching a strikeout. The former big leaguer has been excellent in 7 outings this month. Over 8 innings of work, the 28-year-old is not allowed to run while walking 4 and striking out 12.
So I got Angela a Tom Cosgrove City Connect jersey earlier this year.
Did you?
I didn't get it from the team store. I got it from another outlet that is significantly less expensive. I will admit that. But we haven't had the opportunity to wear that jersey at the ballpark yet because he's been in El Paso pretty much the whole time. They got to bring it back up. I know the trade deadline and bringing in 3 absolute bulldog back end relievers, that doesn't help the prospects of somebody like Tom or Lake Bacher. But again, rosters opening up a couple spots in September.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see him. I dearly want to see Tom Cosgrove back up in the major leagues. And plus he's been pitching well. So you need good arms. It's not just a feel good story. The dude's good. Yeah,
absolutely. So Thursday gave Moser through 7 innings of 1-run ball in his longest and arguably best start of the 24 season. The 2018 27th round pick we talked to Gabe 5 years ago, like right when we started our
time.
Second year we had him. He was in high A, I think, when we talked to him, maybe in the off season. The 27th round pick is 6-6 with a 5.5 ERA and 108 innings, which ties his career high from back in 2019. It's another one of those guys where he doesn't throw hard. He absolutely does not throw hard. And those guys are sitting on the fastball and he's pitching backwards because when the hitters are thinking fastball, he throws the string, he pulls the string, he throws the sweeper, just getting guys to swing over it and pop up and ground out.
It was 5 years ago. It was episode 26.
Woo!
The podcast was just a baby back then. That was when we still had Foggy Mountain Breakdown, the banjo music as our opening music.
All right. So Friday recently re-signed Carlos Edward Jr. gave up 3 runs. The bullpen did a great job to preserve the win. After pitching 6 innings on August 11th, Omar Cruz has made his last 2 appearances out of the bullpen as the organization keeps him available as a big league spot starter option. Thank you, Mad Friars. The lefty pitched a scoreless inning on Friday, walking 1 and striking out 1. The 25-year-old has been virtually unhittable in August. In 16 and a third innings, opposing hitters are batting just 135, and he's carrying a .73 whip. He's another one of those guys that, you don't have to squint that hard to see maybe an opportunity for him. If not this year, certainly next year, because there will be some spots opening up next year in the bullpen.
He's a lefty. He can locate a fastball, and he's got a really good changeup, and that can take you to a long career in the big leagues.
Yeah, And then Rowdy Francis Pena worked a scoreless inning and picked up his first strikeout in 5 appearances since his promotion to El Paso. The hard-throwing reliever who opened in the last season in the Complex League has been absolutely dominant across 3 levels this season, posting a 1.39 ERA and racking up ground balls at every stop.
It goes to show if you don't walk anybody, you're striking guys out, you're getting guys out, this organization will move you quickly.
Yeah.
So, and now Francis Payne, he's another guy that could be knocking on the door. You know, when they're looking down there, they're not just looking at the big leaguers on the 40-man roster. They're also looking for whoever's hot.
Yeah.
All right, so on the screws, on Thursday, Eggy Rosario hit his 17th home run of the season. Chihuahua's infielder is batting .260 with a .905 OPS in the 24 season. However, the infielder has struggled mightily in August. Yeah, ever since his demotion, he hasn't been the same guy at the plate. I don't know what changed. And then on Friday, shortstop Clay Dungan had 3 hits, all singles, and an RBI out of the leadoff spot. Catcher Chandler Siegel matched Dungan's 3 hits, although he provided a bit more pop. Siegel smoked a pair of doubles and added a single for good measure. Eggy Rosario seems to have awakened from a brutal slump in August. The El Paso third baseman had a pair of singles in 5 at-bats to extend his hitting streak to 4 games. Over the 4-game stretch, Rosario is 6 for 16. The multi-hit night raised his season OPS back above 900. You know what we missed? Mason McCoy came up and made his Padres big league debut. It wasn't his major league debut. He had 1 at bat in, I think, 6 games with the Blue Jays, mostly as a defensive replacement. But he got his first big league hit. Now he's had a few hits. He's been right in the middle of some of these rallies that the Padres have needed to put together. Yesterday's walk-off win wouldn't have happened if he didn't work a key walk right in front of Jurickson Profar. So Profar's home run, I mean, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So,
and that at bat, he was 0-2. He was 0-2 in that at bat. So, and then worked the count full, and then they walked him, and then Profar does what Profar does. He's in the lineup tonight. I'm not sure if he's got a hit, but absolutely. And those are the great things you want to hear. Not big, not big shiny prospects coming up, but guys that come up and make a difference. And the small little things, you need those guys. And those are the guys that kind of your bench, the depth in your 26-man and 40-man are what really make championship teams. If you can have a guy come up and fill the hole for a little bit that he has been since Ha-Sung's been up on the IL, plays some pretty decent shortstop. He's made some pretty good plays. That's what you need. That's what championship teams need.
It is. So one last note here. Tuesday, Tirso Ornelas reached base 4 times on 3 singles and a walk. While he's cooled off in August, the 24-year-old is still carrying a career-best strikeout rate and continues to put the ball in the air more than ever. And then Matthew Batten hit a 2-run home run as well on Sunday.
Welcome back, Matthew Batten. And then batting around. So, and you've already said this before, and I didn't see you put it on the agenda, but Matthew Batten has played 499 games. So a game Tuesday, when you guys get this podcast in the YouTube, he will have played 500 games as a Chihuahua. That's a real long time. And like you said before, it's such a great teammate, a great ball player. And you need those guys not only to come up every once in a while and make a spot start, but you need those guys in AAA because they help all those around you get better. And that's one of the questions I'm going to be asking Dylan Sin on some of the players. Colton Bender comes to mind. Well, he's been in the organization for a while, but he's not a top prospect, but you need him because he makes other players better. And that's what you need. Guys like Matthew Batten, guys like Brett Sullivan that are career minor leaguers that get a cup of coffee every now and then, but they help the players on their way up.
Well, that's all that we've got for you this week.
Yep.
Stick around. Our next episode is going to be an interview with Dylan Sin, a sports writer in Fort Wayne who covers the Fort Wayne Tin Caps as close as anybody. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of really good nuggets out of him. But until then, you can catch me on Twitter. I am at @Zippy_TMS.
You can find me at SD Donovan.
Let's go Padres.
Go Padres.